Well, welcome back, sister wives now. Today we're diving deep into something that has shaken the entire Brown family and left the fan community stunned. Christine and her daughter Mykelti are finally speaking out, and what they've shared isn't just drama. It's disturbing. It's emotional. And it reveals a side of Robyn Brown that even longtime fans didn't see coming. Sister wives got to depict Robyn as the peacemaker for years, the tearful, soft-spoken wife who just desired harmony. But the more whistleblowers step forward, the more a different picture emerges. One that reveals control, guilt, and manipulation masked behind that placid smile. Christine has long said it herself. She did not depart due to jealousy or seeking attention. She departed because something within that family was severely amiss. And now, Mykelti is validating that with her own experience. Experiences that include emotional manipulation, loyalty tests with a twist, and a form of control that destroyed the Brown family from within. Let's begin at the beginning. Before the Fishers were apparent, before Christine left. When Robyn initially became a part of the family, Cody's life was transformed overnight. He was infatuated with her. The look he gave her was different. Everyone noticed. Even Janelle and Mary saw the difference. But Christine sensed it in her core. The bond she shared with Cody was breaking, and confusion and pain stepped in to take its place. But instead of outright war, there was quiet. That was what made it impossible to see. Robyn didn't scream, didn't fight. She smiled, she wept. And somehow, every event ended up with her as the victim and Cody jumping to her defense as if it was his life. When Robyn joined the family, she vowed unity. She vowed love and peace. But after a while, Christine says, Robyn's words didn't align with her actions. Behind closed doors, she started to pull Cody in, slowly at first, through sympathy, tears, and tales of being misunderstood. It wasn't always direct manipulation. It was emotional suggestion. I just don't feel safe. They don't like me. I'm trying so hard. And each time Cody would rush to defend her, pushing his other wives further away. Christine started noticing patterns. Every time there was an argument or a misunderstanding, somehow it ended with Robyn being hurt. The narrative always turned toward her, and if anyone questioned her intentions, they were jealous or bitter. Christine, who had always been affectionate and faithful, suddenly found herself cast as cold and ungrateful. And that's where the emotional manipulation started, because once Cody thought Robyn was the victim, anyone who wasn't defending her was the enemy. Now let's fast forward to what Mykelti spoke out about recently. Mykelti, who has never had an easy relationship with Robyn, explained that she was sometimes required to choose between loyalty to her mother and loyalty to Robyn. Consider that. A child being forced to choose emotional loyalties in a plural marriage. Mykelti explained that as a teen, she felt pressure to be supportive of Robyn, even when her heart wasn't in it. She said Robyn played the mother figure role in public, but in private, things were confusing. Mykelti felt manipulated. Like if she didn't do what Robyn was saying, she'd be considered disrespectful or unkind. And this wasn't just between Mykelti and Robyn. Fans were noticing it as well. On Reddit and Facebook, folks have been discussing Robyn's trend for years. They've whispered, Robyn doesn't fight with words. She fights with emotions. That is, tears, guilt, and self-pity employed as weapons. Whenever anyone pushed back against her, she'd cry, and Cody would rush to her defense. Even some fans refer to it as emotional gaslighting, because eventually everyone begins to think that only Robyn's emotions are important. Christine discussed this very same thing in interviews. She revealed that she would question herself all the time, asking herself, am I the problem? She said Robyn would smile to her face and then go to Cody, spinning the story to make Christine look cruel or ignoring. Think of living in a family in which the truth depends on who's speaking. That's how Christine explained life with Robyn around. Now, this is where it gets ugly. Christine explained that something that devastated her was seeing her children suffer. They witnessed their dad distancing himself. They witnessed the tension increasing, and rather than getting better, it got worse. Christine indicates that Robyn positioned herself as the protector, the person who got Cody more than anyone, the person who could manage him when no one else could. But behind that position was something else, control. Because when you make a person believe that you're the only one who gets them, you leave them isolated. And that's what occurred. Cody felt emotionally isolated. The other wives felt defensive. And the children, particularly Mykelti, were caught in the middle of an invisible war nobody would acknowledge. Mykelti just said her mom, Christine, was always kind, even when she was shattering on the inside. But what others didn't witness was how Robyn manipulated the story. She cried behind closed doors, then smiled on the outside, and the pattern continued until the entire family lived in emotional turmoil. Let's take a moment and observe how the audience witnessed this play out on television. Throughout the years, viewers could see that when Robyn would cry, Cody would leave everything behind to reassure her. But when Christine would cry, Cody would appear annoyed or dismissive. And this would go on for season after season. Fans began to call them out, saying, why is Cody cold to Christine yet so defensive of Robyn? Social media exploded with comments, calling Robyn the master manipulator and the quiet controller. And it's not just the fans saying that. Even Janelle hinted that she saw manipulation. She once said that conversations with Robyn often ended with confusion, like she wasn't sure what had just happened, but somehow she felt guilty. That's the kind of subtle emotional control we're talking about. It's not loud or obvious, it's quiet but powerful. Now, Mykelti's new revelations add fuel to this fire. She said that when she was younger, Robyn often acted like the perfect, gentle stepmom in front of the cameras, but off camera, things were strange. She felt like Robyn was keeping score, who visited her home, who texted her, who sided with her in family talks. It was not love. It was loyalty. Mykelti explained that it made a phony peace in which everyone acted like they were fine, but in reality, everyone was tiptoeing. Christine's half of this is devastating. She explained she remained quiet for so long because all she wanted was peace. Silence, though, only granted Robyn more power. When Christine finally began to set boundaries, telling no to family functions that embarrassed her, Robyn made it seem like Christine was leaving the family behind. And Cody sided with Robyn once again. That was the turning point. Christine realized she was engaged in a battle she could never win because the truth no longer counted, only Robyn's truth. When Christine departed, the tears from Robyn materialized immediately. She claimed she was heartbroken and devastated, but no one believed her. Viewers on social media described it as fake sadness, crocodile tears designed to make her appear innocent. People proclaimed, she is crying because she lost control, not a sister wife. And quite frankly, Christine's peace when she departed speaks louder than words. Now that she's free, she speaks clearly. No bitterness, no hate, just truth. She tells me she feels liberated for the first time in years. Mykelti echoes that, stating her mom's joy now is like sunshine. And that's what makes these new disclosures so powerful. Because Christine and Mykelti aren't merely dishing gossip, they're shattering a silence that's been wielded as a weapon. And while that Cody is stuck in denial, he continues to tell interviews that Robyn's the only one who's faithful, the only one who loves him. And that's what emotional manipulation does to you. It makes you blind. It convinces you that loneliness is love and control is care. But the fans get it now. They understand the pattern: crying, guilt, endless woe is me narrative. They can see the way that Robyn's behavior split the family so harshly that even the kids are crying out. And that's why this narrative has picked up such energy. It's no longer simply about sister wives. It's about emotional manipulation and what it does to any relationship. In support forums, individuals are likening Robyn's behaviors to emotional abuse. Covert, psychological, and devastating. Terms such as gaslighting, guilt-tripping, and emotional manipulation are bandied around. Some even theorize that Robyn may not even know what she's doing, that it's her survival mechanism, but that doesn't mean it's not dangerous. As Christine and Mykelti keep telling their stories, the puzzle pieces keep falling into place. You can sense the tension rising, not only in the family, but among fans too. Fans are watching reruns, paying attention to things they initially missed, things which now, in hindsight, make sense. The looks, the tone changes, the silences. And amidst all of this, Christine holds her ground. She's not going after anybody. She's just speaking her truth. But her truth is powerful, because when you bring light to manipulation, it loses power. So what's on the horizon? Will Robyn publicly react? Will Cody finally notice the pattern that's been in front of him for years? Or will the emotional haze continue until there's nothing left of Brown family connection? Regardless of what unfolds, one thing is certain: Christine's bravery to speak out has all changed. If you've been along with the Sister Wives saga since the beginning, you understand this isn't another family fight. It's the untangling of years of silence, shame, and control. And the tale is hardly over. So if you want to remain in the know about every new development, every new discovery, and every emotional reality revealed, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and that bell icon so that you never miss an update from Sister Wives Now. Because I promise you, what's about to unfold will leave you breathless. After Christine's quiet exit from the family, most viewers thought the storm would finally calm down, but it didn't. In fact, that's when the real truth started to come out. What happened next revealed just how deep the emotional damage ran inside the Brown family. Because once Christine spoke up, others started finding their voices too. And the picture that formed wasn't just sad, it was chilling. Christine's interviews following her departure from the family were serene, truthful, and emotionally charged. She did not yell or blame. She simply spoke her truth. She stated something so simple yet so strong. Peace doesn't live where manipulation exists. That one statement struck fans like a gut punch. Because for years, the audience had seen Robyn's tears, her trembling voice, her tearful speeches. But now, for the first time, they were being asked to see beyond. Christine described living in the plural family as always being difficult, but after Robyn arrived, it became different. Christine wanted to believe in sisterhood at first. She welcomed Robyn, nurtured her, even babysat for her. But little by little, something changed. Each time Christine attempted to speak her needs, she was accused of being unfair or dramatic. She reported that Robyn had a talent for taking mere concerns and making them into emotional crises, and Cody always seemed to take Robyn's side. Picture this for years: the erasure of your voice, your emotions, your space in your own home. Christine reported that she felt invisible. She might be literally standing next to Cody, and yet he couldn't see her. All he could see was Robyn's hurt, and that is what destroyed her. Not the lifestyle, not the polygamy, but the use of emotions as weapons. And then Mykelti. Her point of view puts it all into place because she experienced it as a child and also as an adult. Mykelti has explained that as a child, she found herself feeling like Robyn was attempting to be a second mother. Initially, she didn't mind it. She enjoyed more people loving her. However, as time went on, she observed something unusual. When she hung around with Robyn somehow, it drove her away from her actual mom, Christine. It wasn't clear at the beginning. It was little remarks, backhanded guilt trips, soft comparisons. Mykelti mentions Robyn would tell her, "I just wish we could all be one big happy family." But some people don't want that. That single sentence held power. It made Mykelti wonder who the some people referred to. Enthusiasts have pointed out this same trend repeatedly. On social media, it's being said that Robyn wielded emotional guilt as her power. She'd never scream and she'd sob. And when she sobbed, Cody would leave everything behind. It was a system of control masquerading as sensitivity. And worse, it worked because Christine and the other wives didn't want to appear cruel. They'd take a step back, remain silent, and let things slide, just to maintain peace. But peace did not follow. In one of her recent interviews, Christine discussed how draining it was to always be the one apologizing. She explained, "I used to think I was doing the right thing, staying calm, being kind, but all it did was let the manipulation continue. That's a painful reality so many people can identify with." Fans flooded her social media with messages like, "You did nothing wrong, and we saw it too." But here's where things get even more intense. As Christine started speaking up, Cody became defensive, almost angry. Instead of listening, he doubled down. He said Christine was turning the kids against him, that she was spreading negativity. But Mykelti's words painted a different picture. She told me, "Mom just began speaking the truth." That truth was how Robyn would manipulate her emotional relationship with Cody to control what she wanted, from money issues to family rules. Mykelti said the kids witnessed it all. They watched their dad gradually become someone they did not know. He was always on edge, always irritated, and always complaining about someone else being the reason for his misery. And whenever something went awry, somehow it came back to Robyn getting hurt. There is one moment in particular that Mykelti discussed that shocked fans. She explained that there was a family discussion regarding fairness, regarding how time and attention were split. Mykelti explained that her mom calmly addressed how lonely she felt, how everything had become disconnected. And in that very moment, Robyn began to cry. The room changed instantly. Cody got defensive, saying, "Now look what you've done. You've upset Robyn." The whole point of the conversation disappeared. Christine said that's when she realized she could never win. Because every time she tried to express her truth, Robyn's emotions took over the room. That's what people mean when they talk about mind games. It's not shouting or open cruelty. It's emotional manipulation. The power to spin an issue until the actual problem is hidden beneath another person's tears. And that's what Christine endured. Now, the fan responses to this have been explosive. Facebook groups, YouTube comments, and Reddit threads are full of people poring over every old clip, watching old seasons rerun, and connecting the dots. Fans are commenting that they can say things like, "Now it all makes sense," or "Robyn played the long game." Some even comment that Robyn built an emotional monopoly, being the sole individual who could tap into Cody's emotions and everyone else was shut out. And to be honest, if you look back at the video now, you can see it. Robyn's gentle voice, her crying eyes, her timing, it's all very calculated. Commentators note that she never loses her cool on camera. Never. Such self-control could be elegant, but it can also be strategic. Because when all the other people finally break down under stress, the cool one is innocent. Christine did state that Robyn made her wonder if she was a kind person herself. That's among the most cruel consequences of emotional manipulation. It makes you question your heart. You start thinking you're the problem for simply feeling hurt. Christine said she would spend hours wondering if she'd said something wrong, if she'd been unfair. And that's how control grows, in silence and self-doubt. Meanwhile, Cody's behavior only fueled the fire. The more Robyn cried, the angrier he got, but not at her. He lashed out at the others. Remember those tense family meetings? The ones where he'd blow up, screaming about respect, loyalty, and betrayal? Those weren't random. According to Christine, they would routinely happen just after one-on-one discussions with Robyn. It's like she'd secretly fuel his anger, then back away and let it happen. And while that was going on, the family unit started to disintegrate. The older children witnessed it. Janelle witnessed it. Even Mary, having her own painful problems, began to notice that Cody wasn't seeing things clearly anymore. But by then it was too late. Robyn was now his emotional center, his world. The worst part is what happened to the children. Mykelti indicated she and her siblings used to be tight with their dad. But after the emotional split commenced, communication ceased. Cody grew estranged, more concerned with Robyn's children than with his other children. Mykelti claimed she went weeks without a word from him. She'd catch a glimpse of him smiling in pictures with Robyn's children, and it hurt her heart. People have been outraged about that. One post online read, "It's like Cody bartered his family for Robyn's feelings." Another read, "Robyn didn't steal his time. She stole his heart and turned it against everyone else." And although nobody can ever confirm what was in Robyn's head, the trend says it all. Christine's leaving was the first hint of liberation. Not rebellion, but survival. She told me she woke up one morning and knew she couldn't stay in a home where love was contingent, where hugs were given in direct proportion to how sorry you could make the other person feel. That's when she said she was finished. And ever since then, her happiness has been louder than words. But Mykelti's musings are what really provide the emotional heft of this tale. She explained, "For a long time I thought I was losing my mind. I thought perhaps I was dreaming, that I was imagining all of this. But now I know what my mom was experiencing." That's the type of candor that punches you in the gut. That indicates that this wasn't merely a failing marriage. It was a gradual emotional collapse that impacted a whole generation. As increasingly more of the Brown children chime in, the audience is feeling a shift. Individuals who used to criticize Christine for giving up are now catching on to what she went through. The emotional abuse, the manipulation, the perpetual guilt. It's not something you catch in one episode, but it accumulates after years. Even today, Robyn continues to play dumb. In her most recent statements, she claimed she never meant to hurt anyone and that she just wanted love. But that's precisely what makes this narrative so disturbing, because manipulation isn't always born of hate. It's sometimes born of fear, insecurity, or obsession. Robyn's desperation to be the good one, the faithful one, the innocent one, it took over, and it took over the family. And here's where the drama escalates again. Christine's supporters are more vocal than ever, but Robyn's are also striking back. Social media is a war zone. One side claiming Robyn as a master manipulator, the other arguing in favor of her as being misunderstood. Each new video, each interview fans the flames. The Brown family saga is no longer merely polygamy. It's now about control, identity, and emotional reality. Christine's walkaway wasn't a scandal. It was a statement. And Mykelti being in her corner indicates how solid that statement is. When you take away the fame, the cameras, and the TV lights, there's a family that was destroyed by something intangible. The slow, stealthy destruction of emotional control. And now that it's out there, there's no turning back. And so as fans continue to analyze every sentence, every glance, every cry, one thing continues to reverberate. Was Robyn ever actually the victim? Or was she the architect of the Brown family's destruction? The answer, as always, lies in the feelings. If you've been along for the emotional ride, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the little bell icon, because the further we descend into this tale, the darker things become. And I promise you, you won't want to miss what happens next. Well, by now in the tale, all that had been kept hidden for so long was beginning to emerge at last. Christine and Mykelti were no longer silent. They weren't afraid. They had spent years tiptoeing, attempting not to rock the boat, attempting not to be considered disrespectful or disloyal. But when the emotional pressure burst, there was no turning back. Christine had reached her limit with the manipulation, and Mykelti was not going to let her mother bear that pain alone any longer. Christine started to be more open about it, discussing the psychological cost of attempting to endure in a relationship that consistently required her to keep quiet. She described the moments when she felt as if her reality was being reshaped, when Robyn would distort events, recreate conversations, and present herself in the light and Christine as the aggressor. Each time she attempted to establish a boundary, she was informed that she was being unspiritual or unloving. But what actually shattered her wasn't the words. It was the way Cody just stood there and allowed it to happen. Mykelti had similar things to say. She recalled being informed that Robyn was keeping the family together, and that if she did not have respect and loyalty for Robyn, she would be the cause the family would break up. Picture growing up under that pressure on your shoulders. A child, always terrified of your affection for your own mother making you an outlaw in your father's eyes. No surprise that she called it emotional chaos. When Christine did leave at last, social media blew up. Fans who'd sat through years of the show exclaimed, "We always knew something was wrong." Others reported they had gone through the same manipulation within their own families. Reddit forums filled in one night. Viewers likened Robyn's actions to textbook narcissistic behaviors, guilt trips, playing the victim, and emotional distancing. One of the viral comments was, "Robyn didn't marry Cody. She hijacked the whole story." And really, that's what it seemed like. As more individuals began to voice their opinions, Robyn's facade started to crumble. Her tears, which were previously viewed as acts of compassion, began to come across as performative. She would cry when things didn't work out in her favor, but never when another person was suffering. Cody, on the other hand, appeared lost. The man who had once bragged about handling 4 relationships now seemed defensive, enraged, and out of control. He began blaming everyone: the wives, the media, even the audiences. But what he could not see was that his inability to own up was the last nail in the coffin. Christine's self-confidence became much stronger after she left. She stated that she finally felt peace for the first time in decades. And that term, peace, was used as a battle cry by her fans. Folks online were referring to her as Queen Christine, hailing her for her willingness to end an abusive cycle. Mykelti also began standing up for herself more. She disclosed that sometimes Robyn would turn the kids against each other, speaking under her breath about who was loyal and who was not. These weren't innocent misunderstandings. They were manipulations, intended to leave everyone questioning their place. Meanwhile, Robyn kept telling everyone that she was being misunderstood. She claimed that she would always want the family to remain close to one another, that she was being unfairly targeted. But even her tone shifted, less assertive, more desperate. In one tearful moment, she wept on TV about being the scapegoat. But of course, fans also pointed out that she never once owned up to her part in the feud. Her tears weren't for the hurt she inflicted. They were for losing control. And then came a moment that changed everything. Christine shared a personal conversation she'd had with Cody before she left, a one where she'd pleaded with him to notice the destruction Robyn was causing in the family. She'd told him, Cody, that he'd gazed at her and replied, "You just don't understand her heart." Those words shattered her. After all those years of loyalty, sacrifice, and emotional burnout, she knew he would never believe her truth over Robyn's reality. That was when she finally emotionally released. When that video played, social media went crazy again. Fans wrote that it was one of the rawest things they'd ever seen. People wrote, "You can see her soul leave her body." Others wrote that it brought back memories in their own lives where they knew someone they loved would never get to witness their hurt. That's the beauty of this narrative. It's not so much about this one family on television. It's about how manipulation can ruin even the best of people. Christine started to concentrate on her new life, healing, establishing boundaries, and working on relationships with her children. Mykelti defended her immensely, frequently responding to trolls on social media who said she was betraying her father. She would calmly remind them that truth and love do not have to coexist, that speaking out doesn't equate to hate, but to freedom. That is a form of maturity that one does not often see, certainly not when your family drama is in front of millions. Cody and Robyn, however, doubled down. They put the blame for the dissolution of the family on the ex-wives. They spoke of obedience, loyalty, and God's order, words that sent shivers down many fans' spines. Fans started accusing them of spiritual manipulation. A fan commented, "Each time Cody speaks of God, it is like a means of controlling the narrative, rather than living by faith." Christine and Mykelti already had a huge following online. Their interviews, podcasts, and live conversations garnered thousands of views. People were not tuning in for gossip. They were tuning in for strength. For the first time, the viewers weren't accepting the immaculate image Cody and Robyn attempted to convey. They were attracted to the realness, the truth, and the hurt that finally found a voice. There's something strong about seeing someone reconstruct when they've been torn down for so long. Christine began making videos where she was laughing, cooking, dancing, and smiling once more. You could tell the life returning to her. And with each time she did so, the comments contained messages such as, "You're glowing," or "This is what freedom looks like." But while Christine gained peace, Cody became bitter. He started speaking about betrayal increasingly, criticizing individuals who turned their backs on him. And that's when viewers began to notice it. Cody wasn't upset because his family disintegrated. He was upset because he lost control of the narrative. For years, he'd been the star of the show, the leader, the decision-maker, the man who could do nothing wrong. But now the people were listening to the women, the silenced, dismissed, and gaslighted ones. This is where things go dark. As Robyn was losing sympathy, she started employing new strategies, emotional manipulations, bullying accusations, even professing to wish the family reunited. But those arguments did not hold water. Christine wasn't returning. Mykelti was not budging. And the fans? They weren't buying it anymore. Everything was on the move. The narrative that had long centered on Cody and Robyn's perfect love was now a cautionary tale of what becomes of power, pride, and control when left unregulated. Christine and Mykelti had regained their voices, and in the process, revealed just how tenuous Robyn's web of control truly was. The Brown family was fractured, perhaps for good, but something more was at work, a sea change in popular opinion. Fans who had once empathized with Robyn were now loudly challenging everything she did say. Every tear, every apology, every attempt to explain was scrutinized. And as that scrutiny intensified, Robyn began to distance herself from the limelight. It appeared as though she had finally understood that the truth she had been evading for all these years was no longer hidden. Christine and Mykelti had flipped the script. The manipulation which led them to question themselves was now out in the open for all to witness. They weren't victims anymore. They were survivors. And it's that makes this so strong. Because sometimes the most sinister form of control isn't physical. It's emotional. It's when someone makes you question your own brain, your own value, your own memory. Christine and Mykelti shattered that illusion, and the instant they spoke their truth, they shattered the delusion that had been holding the family captive for years. And if you've been following the saga, you know, it's far from over. More secrets are coming to light, more voices are speaking out, and the cracks in Robyn's utopian world are only growing deeper. So before we get into what comes next, Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon, because the rest of this story is where things get flipped. By the time Christine and Mykelti started openly talking about their experiences, it was already too late for Robyn and Cody to keep the narrative in check. The truth was said, and once that was done, it could not be undone. Each interview, each statement, each segment from the show began to appear differently. Folks rewound old episodes, watching them with eyes wide open. Suddenly, what had formerly been thought of as innocent moments of vulnerability now appeared planned. Robyn's tears seemed staged, and her, "I just want everybody to get along" responses sounded phony. The viewers started to see through her. On social media, Sister Wives viewers began connecting the dots. TikTok clips went viral, dissecting scenes frame by frame. Audiences highlighted how Robyn would insert herself into discussions that weren't about her, or how she'd shift attention to her emotions whenever someone else attempted to discuss their suffering. It wasn't subtle, it was calculated. Others started to refer to it as the Robyn effect, a trend where everything would begin in disarray, sympathy would swing, and Robyn would emerge looking innocent and everyone else unreasonable. Christine, on the other hand, was prospering. She was serene, radiant, and carefree. You could hear it in her tone whenever she talked about her new existence. She told her that she was finally living free of fear, free of guilt, free of the need to constantly apologize for being. She spoke of how she had wasted years attempting to gain love in a world that only provided her with pain in exchange. Now she was constructing a new home, an emotional one and a physical one, for herself and for her children. Fans admired her even more because of her honesty and openness. But backstage, there was drama. Cody was livid. The family insiders started leaking that he felt betrayed and set up. He blamed Christine for getting their children against him, and Robyn shared that anger. They both framed themselves as victims, the ones who tried to keep the family together while everybody else backed out. But the viewers weren't believing it. The comment sections were flooded with individuals calling out the hypocrisy. One of the high-ranking comments was, "If keeping the family together comes at the cost of controlling everybody's emotions, then perhaps it's for the best that it did break apart." And that is the problem. Once individuals realized the manipulation, they couldn't look away. Fans on Reddit and Facebook began to gather receipts, quotes, screenshots, timestamps from the show that pointed out every time Robyn played the victim. Others began referring to her as the mastermind, claiming she had quietly manipulated the family situation since day one. Proof was all around her, controlling Cody's schedule, dictating who got attention, and isolating the other wives in small ways. Next up was one of the most heartbreaking. Mykelti revealed that she had had to repair trust with her siblings after years of tension. She confessed that Robyn's presence had caused her to doubt her own mother's motives. "It's like you wake up one day and realize the person you thought was kind-hearted was actually twisting your feelings," she explained. Fans were devastated for her. Picture growing up thinking you are the issue, only to find out you were being manipulated by adults you should be able to trust. Cody did not handle that discovery well. He reprimanded Mykelti for being ungrateful, and again, he stood up for Robyn, calling her the most loyal, loving person in the family. But even he sounded different. There was a desperation to his words. He wasn't leading anymore. He was hanging on to what was left. Fans picked up on the change right away. His command was gone. His words no longer evoked fear or respect. They evoked pity and disbelief. Christine, though, continued to keep her eyes on the horizon. She was not getting into trivial drama. She was creating a life based on reality. Her strength emboldened others in the family to voice their words. Janelle, who had previously held back and said little, began repeating Christine's words regarding Cody's favoritism and Robyn's manipulation. Even Mary, who had been emotionally benched for so long, started to give hints that something was going on behind the scenes that fans weren't aware of. It wasn't a fissure in the foundation now. It was complete collapse. And that collapse was played out in public. Every episode, every word, every Instagram post from Robyn or Cody were questioned. Their body language, tone, and wording were dissected by fans. Robyn's sad eyes, that had gained her sympathy all those years ago, now gained her ridicule. She was no longer able to dictate the story. The control she'd had over perception was dwindling, rapidly. Meanwhile, the damage to her emotions that lingered was real. Mykelti talked about how recovery wasn't a straight shot, that even though she was reaching peace, there were some days she still felt angry and betrayed. She told us she had forgiven her dad, but not what Robyn had put her family through. That kind of candor really spoke to audiences. Viewers poured into the comments, saying they felt understood, that they'd been through similar manipulation from step-parents or controlling relatives. That recognition between the Browns' narrative and actual families is what had everyone staying glued to every development. This wasn't reality TV anymore. It was a lesson in control of emotion and liberty. Christine and Mykelti weren't simply sharing a narrative. They were showing folks how to identify manipulation and take back their voice. At the same time, Robyn started pulling back. Her online presence dwindled, her interviews became sporadic, and when she did talk, she came across as defensive. She blamed the public for attacking her family and spreading rumors. But the truth was out there, spoken by the same people who experienced it. And regardless of how much she cried and lied, the damage had been done. What's ironic is that Robyn's efforts to preserve her image ended up making it worse. When she uploaded a video asking for compassion, observers pointed out how she was different in tone every time she spoke about Christine. It was icy, cut off, and passive-aggressive. People would say things like, "She's not crying, she's angry she got busted." That remark alone captured the mood of the people exactly. Christine and Mykelti were at this point symbols of self-sufficiency. They weren't flawless, and they never even tried to be. But their genuineness, that they were willing to acknowledge the pain and uncertainty, was what made them believable. They weren't acting for the cameras anymore. They were healing before our eyes. And that's something audiences could sense. Off camera, Cody was not doing well. His relationships with his older children were tense, and his once assured self had grown bitter. He raved about respect, loyalty, and unity in the family. But people viewed it for what it was: morality masquerading as control. His words lost their previous weight because the reality had tainted the pedestal upon which it stood. Robyn, who was once the embodiment of spiritual balance, was now perceived as the creator of emotional turmoil. Her carefully constructed trust had become suspicion. Everyone questioned all that she said. Every word, every gesture, every anecdote. And that loss of credibility is not one from which you can easily recover. Christine and Mykelti, however, were rebuilding, not by seeking vengeance, but by making peace. They weren't screaming or lobbing accusations anymore. They didn't have to. The truth already spoke loud enough. Their priority was establishing a healthier world, modeling for their children what love without control does. That quiet strength was louder than any drama, and that's the strongest aspect of all of this. Because when manipulation is no longer effective, truth sets in. It may not happen overnight, and it may not be simple, but it occurs. The Brown family's history is ugly, painful, and unvarnished, but it's also a lesson in how control works behind smiles and good intentions. So now, as more revelations continue to emerge, as more stories and previously unseen moments begin to appear, the real question is, how much will Robyn and Cody do to maintain their version of the truth? How much longer can they continue to pretend before the facade utterly explodes? Because from what we've seen so far, it's only a matter of time before the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. Well, by now it's clear. Everything that Robyn tried to control, everything she thought she could hide behind tears and excuses, has started to collapse completely. The illusion of harmony is gone. The guilt, the favoritism, the emotional manipulation, it's all exposed. Mykelti and Christine's bravery not only uncovered Robyn's methods, it shattered the cycle that had controlled the Brown family for so long, and the consequences have been astonishing. What started as one woman's subtle escape turned into a revolution within a family founded on silence. Christine broke free from decades of gaslighting and emotional manipulation, and through that, she compelled everyone, fans, relatives, even Cody, to confront reality. Robyn wasn't the peacekeeper that she professed to be. She was the custodian of Cody's allegiance, and guilt and victimhood were her best weapons. Whenever someone attempted to question the unevenness, she cried, and Cody rushed to the scene. But tears don't cut it anymore. Now, when Robyn cries on television, fans don't feel sorry for her. They feel angry. The viewers can see through it. Social media has been merciless. On Reddit, fans have been breaking down clips from the past, citing how Robyn played emotional traps to shift responsibility. "Watch how she plays the victim every time someone else has a legitimate grievance," wrote one fan. It's a masterclass in manipulation. On the internet, users have created entire series deconstructing her body language, how her expression shifts when she's surprised, or how she drops her tone when she's about to spin something. The internet has flipped Robyn's once sleek image on its head. She's no longer viewed as the empathetic wife attempting to hold together a large family. She's viewed as the woman who shattered it. And as cruel as that is, that's the situation she helped make. Because for all those years, her control wasn't boisterous. It was low-key, subtle, nearly hidden, but lethal. It was the sort of manipulation that left individuals doubting their own feelings, their own value, their own recollections. That was what Mykelti and Christine were battling against. Christine, in subsequent interviews, describes how liberating it was to be able to finally tell her truth. She reported that she felt alive again, following years of emotional numbness. She explained how difficult it was to bring up her kids within a system that required obedience rather than happiness. She explained that she did not want her children to live their lives seeing what respect is, dressed up as fear. That line struck millions of viewers with impact, because many people watching had experienced the same. Not on TV, but at home. Mykelti has also become a voice to be reckoned with. She's no longer angry, she's wise. She explained she doesn't hate Robyn or her dad, but she can see them now. "You can love someone and still see the harm they've caused," she explained on a recent podcast. That's such an easy thing to say, but it is so profound. It's a message about boundaries, something she didn't get for years. And it's that level of self-awareness that fans admire most. And then there's Cody. Well, the man who was once the patriarch of a united plural family now stands amidst the wreckage of what used to be. He's bitter, defensive, and angry. Each time he speaks out, his words ring less as leadership and more as bitterness. He complains of betrayal, of disloyalty, of how the wives destroyed everything, but he never speaks of his own involvement in the destruction. And that's the most revealing aspect of all this, because true accountability is about confronting your own actions, not blaming others for abandoning a system that no longer does them service. Robyn continues to claim she was simply trying to help, but the world no longer believes her. Even once loyal supporters have begun to distance themselves. You can sense it in the online forums. The tone shift, where once people defended her, now they pick her apart. If she truly wanted peace, one viewer said, she would have spoken to Cody and told him to listen rather than fight, but she didn't. And that silence, that quiet complicity, was what ultimately killed the family. At this point, the family dynamic is not recognizable. The emotional connections that once bound everyone together are now frayed beyond redemption. The trust is lost, and in its place is awareness. Christine has made a new life. She's remarried, happy, filled with love and laughter. Mykelti has discovered her voice and uses it with grace. Janelle is free, independent, and resilient. Even Mary, who remained silent for so long, appears to be discovering her own sort of peace. They've all discovered one thing. Freedom isn't walking away. It's not living a lie. Cody and Robyn, on the other hand, are lonely. The erstwhile spiritual leaders of a grand plural marriage experiment are now confronted with public outrage, family ostracism, and diminishing credibility. The cameras that once celebrated them now capture the cracks. The laughter has been traded in for tension, the harmony for resentment. And despite Robyn continuing to say that she wants the family back together, everyone knows that door has been shut for good, and the audience can sense it. That's why the views keep climbing. Folks aren't watching for scandal. They're watching because this is a story that has become a mirror. It's about control versus freedom. It's about loyalty and respect for oneself. It's about understanding that sometimes the individuals who speak most about love are the ones who have the least idea of its meaning. It's about the strength to leave, even when it means being alone. The strongest line came recently when Christine stated, "I wish Robyn peace, I'd really, but I don't want to be part of her narrative anymore." That single sentence held the depth of all that transpired. It wasn't angry. It wasn't bitter. It was definitive. It was the voice of a woman no longer seeking validation or approval. It was the voice of freedom. And this is where the tale ends up, on freedom. Christine's freedom, Mykelti's freedom. Freedom that comes when you no longer play a part in another's play. Freedom to heal. Freedom to love once more without trepidation. The Brown family will perhaps never be whole once more, but perhaps that's for the best. Because what's sprouting in the wreckage is something more authentic than ever displayed on television. Truth. The moral of it all is straightforward. Emotional control might appear to be love. It might appear to be care, concern, or devotion. But actual love won't choke the life out of you. It won't lead you to question your value. It won't insist on silence. Christine and Mykelti discovered that the hard way, but they escaped. More resilient, more street smart, more liberated. And that makes their tale stronger than any scripted drama. Fans continue to debate what's next for Cody and Robyn, but deep down, most people know how this story ends. Not with revenge, not with reconciliation, but with truth winning out. Because the truth always does. It might take years, it might come with scars, but it always rises. And that's what we're witnessing right now. The truth finally standing tall after years of darkness. So as the concluding chapters of this saga keep coming to life, one thing is for sure. No matter the tears, the guilt, the control, nothing can reverse the strength of the truth. Christine and Mykelti stood up to everything, not only for the Brown family, but for all of us who have been held captive in a relationship based on manipulation. And if there was one thing this story showed us, it's that healing begins the second you stop believing the lies that held you small. So be sure to like this video, subscribe, and press the little bell icon. Because this tale isn't over, it's changing. The truth is out, the game is finished, and the true tale of the Sister Wives family has barely started.